This is Heather with KFUG Community Radio. We are back again with another episode of KFUG's Community Square. And today I am with Amber Wier, who is the Executive Director of Resilient DNaTL. No, but that's not the title. She's shaking her head no. I'm here with Amber Wier.
That sounds very prestigious. I love it, but it's not very. No,
it's not. That's not how that works. Okay,
No.
I'm gonna let her tell you what
to?
her title is, and then tell us why it is we're holding the microphone for you today.
All right, sounds great. So yeah, I'm a project director because I work for an organization called California Health Collaborative, which is like a statewide, not-for-profit, community-based organization that holds a lot of different grants. So the one that you're interested in, or that hopefully the listeners will be a little bit more interested in, is the project that we're working on called Resilient DNaTL, which stands for Del Norte and Tribal Lands.
Okay.
So I am the project director for that. And we have, Sarah Carone is our project coordinator, and we have Kelly Borges doing all of our media and our youth podcast work. And we have a whole coalition of community partners. I think our coalition now, on our listserv is like 72 people that we email monthly.
Wow.
And then we have a monthly meeting where any of those people, right, can come and we can collaborate and talk about the goal of Resilient DNaTL on a monthly basis. And I think we were growing. Last time it was like 20 people. You came.
Yes.
Yeah. We had to pull up extra chairs and we're like, wow, we're outgrowing we need to get more tables. It's great.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to see that many people show up and try to do all of those things. And I love Sarah and Kelly. They're just amazing, incredibly amazing women in our community. We are blessed to have all three of you. So you talked about just briefly your podcast with the kids, and we're actually recording this today in your space with the podcast equipment for the kids. I just brought the SD card.
Yeah. And this is the very first recording. The kids haven't even got to use the equipment yet.
Leave it to KFUG to take it away from them.
Oh yeah, no, they're awesome. So I might just step back to give everybody a kind of an idea of like the whole picture of
Absolutely.
what Resilient DNaTL is like doing. And then, let's dive into the kids podcast. It's so fun. So Resilient DNaTL, I think it got started, as a initiative in 2015. It was before I was part of it, and it was part of Building Healthy Communities. Ryan Kobler, I think. Do you remember Ryan?
Yep. Well, I remember the Building Healthy Community.
Yeah. So they had started this like coalition to work on really how do we create positive change in our community, and what we're really looking at to guide us on what that means. Our adverse childhood experiences. So
ACEs is what that's known as most places, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For folks that are in the public health world, everyone knows that acronym, but for folks that this might be new to, they don't,
right.
I don't know who knows what the acronyms, so many of them. So
coded language.
Yeah. We try to make
Thank you for not using the acronym.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we know with those adverse childhood experiences, when you are having adversities at home and exposed to like maybe some domestic violence or substance use, or, you can't pay the bill, your family can't pay the bills, or you're having some food insecurities, housing insecurities. All of these things are kind of like fundamental things for living successfully. And when we have issues come up in that disruption in our security growing up, they call those adverse childhood experiences. And when we have more than 4, they do like a scale that you can do a quiz. There's 10 questions to see if any of these things happen to you. But when you have more than 4, your risk factors for having longer term health issues kind of skyrocket. Like, I think your risk factor of like getting addicted to a substance like alcohol or drugs or
cigarettes, having any kind of an addiction to use as a coping skill.
Yeah. I think you're like 6 times more likely, or I can't remember the the statistics on how many more times, but it goes up significantly once you have 4 ACEs. So what we really want to do is try to like, how do we become aware of what these challenges are, and how do we support our families to start having that ability to bounce back and be resilient when we have them? Because we're always going to have these things. It's just, how do we cope with them, and are there areas that we could lessen those exposures, right?
Yeah.
So it's a complicated, complex system. Everything is intertwined. So there's a lot of work to be done with this. And when we look at our environments that kind of help create some of these stressors in our community, it's like, how do we make these environments a little bit easier for us to manage and go through? And so when we're looking at that, a lot of times we really want to go what's called upstream. We want to tackle the problem before it happens. And so when you look at how do we have families that have protective factors that so they don't go through as much of these traumatic experiences, it really comes down to connection and belonging.
Yeah.
So we're really honing in on this idea that we need anchored adults in our lives, people that are regulated, that we can lean on in times that, you know, we might not be regulated, like we might be super stressed, or we don't know how to get through this problem. And I can call my neighbor, or I can call my aunt, or I can call my best friend who can help me self-regulate or get through the stress and figure out that pathway, because things are so complicated on, you know, when you are in stress, to even figure out your way out, your path out of what is happening in your life.
Right. So I've talked to several different people who've used the term regulated.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry to pick on you. When I asked for this, it just dawned on me that some people might not understand what is meant by that. So what do you mean by regulated?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we work a lot. I'm going to get even more nerdy here. There's this really cool book that I think everyone in the world would benefit. We have a book study for this.
Yes, you do.
This is exactly the kind of work that we all are trying to understand. And if we can identify it, then we can work on it, right? So there's this book by Dr. Perry and Oprah Winfrey, and it's called What Happened to You? And they co-authored it, and we do a book study, which I have never done a book. Oh, I lied. I did one book study once in my life. I'm not typically a book study person. I'm like, that's cute. But I did this book study with Taryn because she's been talking about it in our coalition meetings, like how amazing.
Taryn with Del Norte Reads.
Yeah, she's with Del Norte Reads right now, but when we met her, she was like Sources of Strength with the schools district.
Yeah, that was it called Climate Coach or something?
Yeah, I can't remember. Something like that. Anyway,
it's Taryn. Everybody knows
she was
Taryn.
into brain science. That's what I know about Taryn. And that she's worked with Dr. Perry's neurosequential model. You know how long it took me to remember how to say that? Too long. But that is really what this book is about. It's like, how does our brain and our body work? And identifying, like, in times of stress, especially when you're younger. So Dr. Perry, and she should be here to talk about this. My memory of all of this is not as specific as hers to be able to share with you. So I invite you to have her on and talk about this.
Taryn she can absolutely have a conversation.
Yeah. She's really fun to listen to. And it always is like mind blowing. I'm like, oh, so simple. That makes so much sense. I got it. Yeah. She does this thing like, I'm just a human with a brain. Once you understand how your brain's working, then you can like forgive yourself on a lot of the way that we're acting, right? So,
and a lot of that is because you make a mistake and then you have shame and embarrassment, and then it just kind of, it spirals. I call it the carousel of hell. And then you're just like screaming and trying to get off.
Yeah, well, yeah, or freezing, right? There's all these different kinds of stress responses that she talks about.
Yeah.
And so Dr. Perry really, like, he's been studying this, I don't know, for like 50 years or something. And identifying when kids go through traumatic experiences, and like their heart rate increases, their little heart rates increase and stay increased. Like, and you don't even know it. Like, they're sleeping on the couch, but when you check their heart rate, it's going like 120. And
right. And we just always say the same thing, right? Like, the kids, they'll get over it. They're resilient. Kids are so resilient. They bounce right back.
Yeah. But their body actually is showing stress, continued stress.
Yeah.
And so when we're dealing with like that continued stress where you can't get back down to normal, and that becomes kind of your everyday, then you're
dysregulated.
You're operating on dysregulation. Yeah. Because any kind of thing that comes at you, you are quicker to react as far as in a trauma response way.
Okay.
So like when somebody's yelling at you, they're mad. I don't know, some road rage might have happened. That's one of my more, I think I had some guy totally flip me off the other day. This was in Grants Pass, not.
Oh, I was going to say, in Crescent City, we have road rage?
No.
I've never, and I'm old.
We were at Grants Pass, and it wasn't actually at me, but somebody else was driving, and I'm looking out the window, and this guy comes up on the other side of us and flipping us off. And I was like, what is he mad at? I have no clue what's going on. But like, I would say he was maybe dysregulated, and that's not how you would normally act in regular conversations, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so when somebody is at that higher level, they're screaming, they're arguing, or even like with your partnerships, right? Of people in your close family lives, and they're screaming at you. This book kind of explains like your brain is no longer scientifically proven, no longer in your cognitive thinking skills.
So like up there with your executive function
Yeah.
and your prefrontal cortex, you're just gone.
You're gone. You can't reach that. So there's no point in trying to talk to somebody into like your point of view, right? They can't reach executive functioning skills. So this book really helps. It teaches it much better than how I'm talking about it right now. But
So to learn about dysregulation, read Dr. Perry's book.
Go through the books.
Go through the book studies?
Yeah. Okay. So right now we have incentives actually for people to attend these book studies. We give you money for the time that you are there trying to learn about this. We want to respect everybody's time and make it valuable. Not only are you learning, but you're talking about some of these things. You're sharing stories with people, which, sounds really vulnerable, but it was the most beautiful book study I went through with it happened to be all other women in the group. And I mean, I had no idea that we were going to go so deep. Like, we all started kind of sharing our experiences that could relate to these chapters. And then our like insecurities of like, oh man, I really screwed up my kid. But don't worry, it gets you through it. It helps you understand that you didn't actually screw up your kid, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's just a beautiful experience to connect with other people in community, to hear that you're not the only crazy one. You're not the only one that's gone through all these things. These are really tough. And when people did share vulnerable moments in our group, we really all came together. And it was like, afterwards, we've all kind of bonded over this. So I don't know. It sounds a little...
So do your book study group with friends and people that you...
I did it with people I didn't really know.
So now you have new friends.
Yeah.
So you're building that connection.
Yeah.
So I kind of derailed you there with asking for the question about the dysregulation.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you bringing that all up, but that kind of ties back into what you were... Well, it ties back into what you were talking about the ACEs and trying to reduce the ACEs. So if that neuroplasticity can rewire it in a negative way, can we rewire it into a positive way instead of having it lead to adverse childhood effects and affecting that child when they grow up to be an adult? Can like you said, you didn't break your kid. If you learn, can you reverse what has taken place?
Yeah. So that's what I think is the beautiful part about all this. Like, we talk about these bad experiences, but there's also a resilience scale. There's another like 10 question thing that you can do to see how resilient you are. And a lot of that resilience, being able to bounce back, rewire your neuroplasticity, right? Figure out how to be able to handle these things is one, we have to identify that they're happening, understand how they're happening, and be curious about how we can better support ourselves. And a lot of that really leans on the relationships that we have with other people. You know, for thousands of years, humans were very connected in these small, you know, villages and small communities, and we depended on each other a lot.
Yeah.
And so there's also this other book that we're pushing out, which is Hunt, Gather, Parent. And that is like,
I've heard amazing things about that.
oh, good. We're just starting our first real book study on that one. And we're introducing Dr. Perry's neuroscience with it.
Okay.
So that you can understand, you know, like, I guess, you know, for thousands of years, it was always like 4 adults to 1 child, helping with that child, rearing that child. When that child was out in community, there was, you know, all these other aunties and uncles.
Well, yeah, we stayed in family connection, family units.
Yeah. And so it wasn't so overwhelming for just the one parent taking care of that child 24/7. And then now in today's society, you know, all the other obligations that come along with that. So this book study, one, you get to, again, be in connection and relationship with these other parents, which is such a powerful thing that we, you know, I had a hard time finding that, you know, my kids are older now, so I'm getting the empty nest syndrome is happening. One has flown the nest and one only has 1 more year with me. So
Oh no.
looking back, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that book club. So be on the lookout for that book club too. And
I want in.
yeah, well, if you're listening, we do have a website, ResilientDNaTL.org. ResilientDNaTL.org, that has, like, if you have an interest in joining any of those book clubs, you just fill out a form on the website there.
Okay. And we'll have other programs and things that you're doing to build that connection with, what did you say, 72 other organizations within the community?
Oh, well, yeah, our listserv of all the other people that are, yeah, we send out a little news, you know, like little announcements all the time to the listserv there. But the other programs that we are running to build connection and belonging, that's where we keep coming back to, right? To try to build protection factors that we have more control over. It doesn't depend on funding. As we know right now with all of these not-for-profits, we're having a hard time with that. So anyway, so the programs for our own people to build their own resilience, we have the book clubs, we have we started this thing called neighborhood barbecues. And it's really barbecues with intention to build connection and belonging in your neighborhood. And so a lot of time, again, these are such simple things, but they make such a big difference. So I don't know, do you know your neighbors?
I do.
Do you? That's great.
But I've lived in the same spot, right? One of them is a family member, and then on the others, like a block away, is another family member. And then I ran for board of supervisors, so I got to knock on all of the doors.
Yeah, you're very social. Well, a lot of us aren't so social.
But I don't know all of them.
Yeah. Well, and so what we want is, you know, again, building connection and belonging. When there's been so much, I don't want to get political, but there's been so much division between people.
Yeah.
And it's so my team or your team.
Absolutely.
We really want to kind of calm that down and build trust with people. There's always going to be things that divide us, but there's also a lot of things that bring us together.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to reach people where they're at and do these neighborhood barbecues. And so we put out like a little flyer and said, is anybody interested in doing this? We have a 4-hour workshop on how to do this and do it well. But what we introduce is also those concepts on like how our brain works. Why is it so important for us to have connection? And we talk about, you know, I think a lot of times people are kind of scared of like that crazy person that's going to go off on me and I don't know what to do when they're like ranting and raving about something. And so you just kind of don't knock on that door, right? And invite them, right? So we talk about, you know, that regulation again. Like, oh, this person is deregulated right now. They're telling their story. You don't have to solve their problem, but just by them being able to reiterate the train wreck in their mind of what happened, right? Whatever they're venting about, that is actually therapy for them. They are actually rewiring the story in their head to make it digestible for their body. And like Taryn does this whole talk about the chemicals and how they like come out and they kind of float up and out of your brain when you kind of get to process things like that. You're reprocessing, rewiring it.
Right. And it's like right, because I'm a kid of the 70s. Mr. Rogers said, if it's mentionable, it's manageable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, right. It's the things that we keep secret that we won't discuss. We won't tell ourselves. We won't tell anybody else. Those are the things that eat away at us and make it so we can't truly function as a whole person. So when it is mentionable, it's manageable.
Yeah, I love it. I love Mr. Rogers.
Who doesn't love Mr. Rogers?
I don't know.
Well, apparently the Congress, they've tried to take his funding away since the 60s.
Oh, well, yeah. See, again, politics, not fun. So anyway, we're doing it's called a neighborhood barbecues, and we do a 4-hour workshop. We pay you $100 to go through it. But
wow.
Well, it's 4 hours on like a Saturday. So,
okay.
We're taking time away from your personal and your family time to come do this class and really learn about, kind of that self-care and that it's kind of like mental health first aid, right? In our community.
Which is a really good training too.
Yeah, that is a very good training. I just went through that with Coastal Connections. They offer that training.
Yeah, I think I need to recertify this summer. I think my 3 years is up.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a really good training. Ours is a little bit different. It's more kind of like triage and, what might actually happen in your barbecue that people are nervous about. And then we also talk about like, what are the resources? Because we ask you to have 2 people from your neighborhood so you can go together to knock on doors and invite people. And, as a lot of us have experienced, maybe that neighbor doesn't like you. So the other person is kind of like your wingman that they like. And so they can invite them.
When you say neighborhood, when I grew up in it used to be a farming community, and then they just kind of made it a suburb, like little track houses out there for low income. And we did block parties. Is it just the people on that same street? Is it a couple of streets?
It can be anything, really.
Okay.
I just, what I want it to be, like what I vision that is walkable, right? Oh,
yeah.
That's strange.
Right. We are getting feedback from something or other.
It was like another music. That's so interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, well. Yeah. First time we've been recording in here, so you guys might hear a few extra things. What was it? Oh, so like walking. So I don't want people to have to drive to, like, the school is a great community hub, right? But not everybody's willing to make the drive to go. And I kind of want, like, in your street, if you're having a whole bunch of people over, maybe that person that is the shyest one on the neighborhood and most like in need of connection might see everybody gathering and will finally come, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to do it right there in the neighborhood. But we've done, we had somebody that went through this course and was in a mobile home park. And so they had, the whole park was invited. So it's not just that street, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like it's a neighborhood of, you walk and you see everybody, and it's to encourage the walking and the interconnection of everybody when you're out in your neighborhood. So yeah, there's no specific rule on it.
I talked to Denise Doyle Schnacker last week, and that's what she wanted to talk about was connection and the importance of it. Why is connection and doing this work so important to you?
Oh, it just makes so much sense to me. So I've kind of always worked in not-for-profit and in jobs that help people. But this one, the more I learn about it, the more I'm just like so passionate about this is how we help ourselves. And you're pressing all these buttons trying to figure out the feedback.
Yeah.
Did you figure it out?
No, go ahead. You do your thing. I'll do mine.
I know, but I can't help but watch you do it. So connection and belonging is so important because, I mean, that's, I don't even know how to answer that question. It heals us. When you have somebody to talk to about things, when you feel like you're part of the community and somebody cares about you, you feel better and you feel stronger and like you can make it through, right? When our bodies are just not meant to be alone and have to be by ourselves. There's chemistry to this. Taryn can answer this better.
Well, we're not. We are social animals.
Yeah.
We're not meant to be alone.
So it makes intuitive sense to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's the answer that you're looking for, the science stuff. Let Taryn actually talk about the chemistry of why that
Taryn
actually
can't
works.
answer why it's important to you. Only you can do that, Amber.
Well, so when COVID happened.
The inside time. Yeah.
So that was when I really sat down and was kind of like thinking about all of this and like, because we were so isolated. Luckily I have my family unit that's pretty tight here, and we were able to be that little pod and we had those connections. But I also made a very concerted effort to start having girlfriends, like real girlfriends. Like I have lots of friends.
But you know everybody.
Yeah.
You're Amber. You're everywhere.
I'm in community. I feel connected, but do I really have that, close connection?
Yeah.
And we really only need one or two. Really. Yeah. We don't need 400. We can't do 400. Our brains don't work that way. So that's what Taryn says anyway. So really, I really tried to start connecting with, there were 3 girlfriends that have really come together, and we started making the effort to like have a girls' night or go out once a month or something to just really connect.
Is that because you did talk about, right, you're going into the empty nest thing, that you have one that's flown the coop and you have one that's leaving in a year. Is it easier now that you just have one at home? And I'm going to go with, well, I know who he is. He's older and he is essentially self-reliant.
Yeah.
You need to be gone until 7 or 8. He's not going to be like, where's my dinner? And if there's no food anywhere, well, I mean, he is because I know him, but he's not going to starve to death. He can get his own drink of water.
Yeah.
Like this is right. You're not changing diapers and chasing around 2 little ones at home.
Yeah, no, I think the hardest time in my life, honestly, was when they were little, the little toddlers. And I was pretty isolated. I stayed home with them. I had a job, but it was one that I could work from home, and it was only a few hours. So I could I worked for the Small Business Development Center. Okay. So we did some evening workshops for how to start a business and marketing and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I was home, and I think I did a lot of driving. Sienna would be in her little car seat, and I'd be going up to Big Flat. Like I loved it up there, and that was kind of my therapy, and music in the car to get up there into the sunshine because we were in town with a lot of fog at that time. Yeah. So, and always being at the mercy of your kids, right? They needed you all the time, and so being a younger person that only I could do my own thing, that was such a hard transition for me as a parent. Because I used to wake up in the morning, drink my coffee, read an actual newspaper in print back then. Right. And get up and go to work. And I was like ready for the day. Well, yeah, when you become a parent, all that just went down. I was up 3 times a night nursing and trying to wake up at 5 a.m. when she was waking up and trying to sleep when they would sleep. And it was hard adjustment for me. I don't know why I didn't think about it. I just thought I wasn't really prepared for how much work it was going to take and how much it took away from my personal time and how much I actually needed that personal time.
We all need that personal time.
Yeah. But I was young and never even thought about it. And then when I was going through it, I was like, oh, this is hard.
So it's my understanding from the things that you have said and being in other spaces where they talk about the neurosequential model, that's survival. You are in survival. So
Yeah.
you don't think about it. You're just there. And not only are you trying to survive this experience of motherhood, you have another human being. And then oftentimes we add an additional human being to that mix and we call that joy. And right then I was recently speaking to a father who was just like, I had no idea how difficult this was for my wife and how much she became a wife and a mother and not the person I went to high school with anymore
Yeah.
because that was her identity.
Right.
It becomes a woman's identity is to be the wife, to be the mother. And then right, she's always the mother. Always. Even when the kids fly the coop, they're calling,
Yeah.
where's my insurance card? Where's this? What do I do about this? She's always mom. And then she becomes grandma. She loses her identity. Did you find that was, I mean, because it sounds a little bit
for
like.
me, I think, growing up, different people have different ideas about what they want their life to be. And for me, I never even daydreamed about getting married. Like my childhood was daydreaming about, I think I was going to be in the Peace Corps. I was going to travel the world. I didn't know what I was going to do for Peace Corps, but I was, I was going to help. And then I met my husband and fell in love and we moved to this town, and my whole daydream for my first 18 years shifted, right? And so I never even babysat.
Oh, wow.
I was an animal person. I sat for horses and the neighbor's sheep and the goats and the neighbor. I kind of always have lived in a more rural setting. And so those are the things that I was so used to. So being a mom, although I really wanted to be a mom, I just had never really thought about what that was going to entail. And so, yes, that was a rude awakening for me. And luckily I found another mom that, we were able to hang out and connect. And she had always been that girl that wanted, she babysat, she loved kids. I was scared when I was pregnant. I was like, am I going to love this kid? What happens? I just didn't even.
So it wasn't something that you grew up with or.
No, I don't.
Wow.
Well, I didn't even have siblings. My siblings were my pygmy goats in the backyard.
Gotcha. Look at all the things we're learning about you.
Yeah.
So would you say, I mean, that's a very interesting take.
Well, but so here's the thing. I found this other mom that this was what her daydream had always been. And she modeled so well for me, what the joys were and the challenges, right? She was right in there with me on it. So that was really, really helpful.
Did you have kids the same age?
Yes.
Was she older? Okay.
We had kids exactly the same age, 2 kids. She had her son when I had my daughter, and we had kind of met through, so we didn't really start connecting until probably 4 years into my motherhood experience.
So again, the connection, you found it easier to navigate that once you found a woman to connect with.
And then the modeling is such a big deal, right? So my mother-in-law lived here, and so she was really helpful on modeling, how to do things because I really was so blind to how much work this was going to be.
So you don't have one of those nightmare mother-in-law stories. You have a mother-in-law that was helpful.
My mother-in-law
and participating with her grandchildren. You became a daughter.
She loves, she lives for children. She when we do a lot of Sunday barbecues with our family, and most of the time she'd rather be hanging out with the kids than at the adult table. Yeah,
I get that.
She's really you were one of those people. The first time I met you were at CVS.
Walgreens.
Oh, Walgreens. Yeah. And we're in the photo department.
I was the photo lady at Walgreens.
Yes. And I was trying to figure out the computer to do my order. And Marcus, my youngest, at that time, he was 2, I think, or 3. And he was so hyper as a little guy. And he was crawling up he was either crawling up you or running down the aisle or laying on the floor. and I couldn't focus to get my order. You sat down on the floor with him and totally entertained him so I could get my order done. Those little moments for all those other people out there in the community, like, they matter. I've never, at that point in time, I don't think we had ever met before, but I've remembered you ever since then. And he's 17 now. So that was 14 years ago that the first time I met you, and it made such an impression. I was so thankful. And I couldn't believe how much fun you were having with him because I was so stressed out, right? I was like, when you're in it as a parent, I think too, you're like totally stressed out, like, because your child's misbehaving and you can't get this and da 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 da. So like, I'm in that dysregulated mode, right?
Yeah.
And now as an older parent and watching those moments, one, I just like, it actually makes my heart smile, but also like give you my heart because I remember that stress that parent was in. And to know now that it's like for the rest of us in the world watching that, we don't feel the same way. Like you were totally okay with this whole situation. It wasn't stressing you out at all.
No.
And it was a beautiful moment. And it was that part of like being part of a community in a small town, I think. And that's really what we want to keep reminding folks to do and be part of everybody's lives, are those little moments too. They really matter for our parents.
And it meant something to you, and it was such a little thing to me.
Do you even remember it?
No. I have no idea. And there's little things too that you can do and that you don't think of when you have the small child, but that you, when you're grown and they're gone and you look around and you're like, oh, I remember those days. If you see that mom with her cart with 2 kids in it, standing at one end of the cereal aisle with her eyes closed, saying a little prayer, just ask her what cereal she really wants. And then where to meet her and go get that brand and that flavor of cereal and then meet her at whatever aisle.
Yeah.
The same thing, right? When you go down the ice cream aisle and they need something that's on the right side or whatever, the side that's not the ice cream, just ask her, what do you need down that aisle, and go get it for you. Because she doesn't want to deal with the screaming kids. She doesn't need that in her life. Just go get it. Yeah. We've all been there.
And now I know when my brain is dysregulated, I can't do critical thinking, right? And I can give myself the kind of the acceptance and like, oh, okay. It's okay that I didn't know what I was doing right then and there. Yeah. And I can give myself a little grace, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Wait a second. I think your son was the one that told me when he grows up and I grow little, he was going to take me all of the places he wanted to go.
I have no idea. I was too dysregulated at that moment to know what you guys were talking about. I don't know. He said some amazing things. I do have some really cute recordings of his epiphanies. I had a little recording of like Marcus in the mornings at like 7:30 in the morning. You know, we're getting ready for school and stuff. And the one I remember is like, do you think Siamese twins have to buy 2 tickets to the movie or just one? And I was like, Siamese twins, what are you talking? Well, they have one body but 2 heads. So do they have 2 tickets to watch the movie? I mean, he was like 5 years old with his 2 front teeth missing or something. And then he would come down, you know, with these huge sunglasses, those clown sunglasses, eating his toast, talking about Siamese twins and whether they have to have 2 tickets or one.
The curiosity of kids and the ability for them to just ask their questions without regard to how it's going to be taken or understood or misunderstood, that we just accept that there's a purity and the curiosity to have the question asked is, well, because we don't get to have that as adults. If I'd asked that questions, I would have been told a bunch of different things, and that was rude and blah, blah, blah. And all right, but we're not allowed to have.
Well, I think we turn off our curiosity. I think as we get older, we get a little jaded by, some of the things that happen, and then we kind of like
by our aces, by the adverse childhood effect.
Yeah, it gets heavy, right? And so that's one of the other things I keep trying to remind myself. Coming into the empty nester, right? Not having my kids around me, which have really obviously become, they are my joy, right? And so, but they're not my only joy. And so making sure that I have curiosity in the world about other things so that I can get connected and feel belonging is really an important thing I'm learning about. And so it's scary to go like, what I want to do is be a little braver and do things that maybe put me in a position where I'm not so comfortable, but I might get a new connection by it. Like that book club, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't something I really ever sought out to do. Somebody had to talk me into it, and then I did it, and it was wonderful. So it's those kinds of things that we need to start kind of trying to get out there to get those connections. If you like hiking, we have this program. That was something I did when I was trying to get through those early years with Sienna. I put her on a backpack and we would go hike. And then when I had Marcus, that got a little challenging because he'd be in the front Bjorn and I'd have Sienna on the backpack and I'd like have all this weight trying to hike. But now we have this program called Hike It Baby. And
wait, you were so in need of connection and belonging that you hiked with 2 kids strapped to your body?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that was more like I needed to. So, self-regulation, a lot of it is, a lot of people will do rhythm, right? You'll like tap your foot or you'll be clicking that dumb pen when people
it's
are
releasing that energy
dysregulated.
that's building up within you.
So you're trying to do something to regulate. And I realized that hiking was that for me, like getting that physical, like out there pattern of
grounding,
hiking,
all of it,
breathing,
the spirituality of it.
Yeah. That was something that really helped ground me in my feeling of overwhelm a lot during that time period. But I remember going, God, I don't know anybody else. Like the girlfriend that I did have, she wasn't a hiker. Like that wasn't her thing. She was more like, I'll teach you how to crochet. Let's cook. And so I needed that. And now so Resilient DNaTL actually is, we have sponsored a hiking kind of program.
The Hike It Baby.
Yeah. And we're actually expanding it right now because
nice.
Hike It Baby is doing great. We do 1 hike a week. Again, you can find that on our website. You can sign up. It's on our Facebook page too.
Okay.
We tried to do posts. We have Stephanie, who is the facilitator for that, and she'll send out a reminder. And there's a flyer that says where the hike's going to be every week. But you have to connect with her to get on the list for that. And anyway, so the hikes have been pretty good. They're like about, I don't know, I think we have like usually at least 4 moms and like 6 kids that going on a hike. And one time we got one, like 13 parents came, and that's a little too big, right? Like we can't even fit parking for that. So we do try to make the hiking groups not quite so big. So we are starting another one now. And this one is actually going to be for the like kiddo age group, maybe like 4 or 5 and up, because the babies, the toddlers, don't quite hike at the same speed.
Yeah.
So some of the older, the moms with some older kids were like, I really like this idea, but it takes a really long time to walk just, a mile. So with a toddler.
Right.
So they wanted to start this other one. So we have another one launching in May. And that one's going to be on Mondays, because I think Mondays are early out for school. So you could pick up your kid and make it to this hike and do a little. They're usually like a mile and a half. They're not too big. But what you're doing is connecting with other parents. So far, they've mostly been moms, but dads can come too. Or grandma can come if grandma's the main caregiver with the kid,
Yeah.
And it's, again, you're going to start making some friendships with people that are kind of in your similar situations. So connection, belonging, getting out there, regulating, figuring out free ways too, to be able to do self-care, I think is another important thing that we want to encourage.
Absolutely.
But yeah, to be curious, going back to being curious about, what do you like? What are some interests that you have? And are there things out there to do it? I think Resilient DNaTL a few years back did like we tried to see how many services and programs are there out there for folks to get help, whether that's, the food stamps or if it's Hike It Baby. I think we were able to find over 177 services, and a lot of them aren't being really utilized. It's kind of hard to figure it all out and where everything is and times, and we're all overloaded with being a parent, going to work, trying to get the kid to sports and pay our bills and all of these things.
Surviving. We're all surviving.
Yeah. That a lot of times it's hard for us to think about those other things that actually fill up our bucket and help us, like,
maybe we have a conversation again too about what those things are.
On filling our buckets?
No, about what all the resources available. Are those just in the state of California, or is that here locally?
No, it's just here locally.
Yeah, we definitely need to get that information out.
Yeah. So there is a website, and it's always hard. Like it'd be just so nice if we could do a website that says, I need to figure out how to find childcare. And then Del Norte Child Care Council comes up, right? And so I think the school district tried to do one. It's called Connect Del Norte, or is it Connect DN?
Right. A lot of times, though, and this has been my experience trying to help somebody connect to a resource, you go to those things and then you click on it and it's no longer existing. And then you do that again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. And then you're just like, there's nothing here for us.
Yeah.
Because you have no capacity. You're in a crisis. You don't have space in your brain.
Well, and on the other end of that, it takes money and it takes somebody to manage that website and update it and call everybody and make sure we have the newest contact or the newest person, and things are always rotating. And when there's not enough funding and people are stretched so thin in their jobs, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So, there is always the Google search on all of those things. Most programs are on, they're somewhere on the internet that you can do the Google. But this is why we need our friends, our anchored adults, our people that know or have gone through those things. And that's when we really trust whether that program is worth it, or, is this, when I've gone, like the book club, right? Like, that isn't something that I would have just naturally searched on Google and then joined. Somebody told me that this was going to be really good and that you should do this. That's when you get connected. Yeah. So that's where we're really trying to kind of help build our own networks within our community.
Right. So when we talk about curiosity and the whole thing, my brain is sitting here just like, we used to have this. It used to be normal, and now we are talking about you're going to get trained on how to have a barbecue in your neighborhood. And I kind of reference that I grew up going to block parties in my neighborhood. But again, right, I'm older. It's so, our society has shifted so far that now we have to have education on how to connect to each other again. And the Inside Times did a number on all of us, and we don't talk about that openly and have those discussions. Is that kind of what we're doing? It's like a pendulum thing. We have gone too far to disconnection, so now we need to swing back the other way and learn how to connect so that we can balance out having connections.
Learning about, how we learn a lot from modeling of other people. And if we're not out in those situations with those good models, watching, observing, figuring out how this all works, if we're at home behind a screen and in our own little worlds, we're not connected. We're not learning those patterns. So like the neighborhood barbecues, we encourage simple games. Like, people might have a barbecue and say, come on over. But then sometimes people that are new to the group, they still don't mesh, right? They don't even know how to start conversations. They don't feel comfortable in even like integrating. And if you're there when you already have your friends, you're not trying to integrate somebody else. You're catching up with your friend. So we, even in that training, we encourage, like, there's a bingo card game that you can play where it's like in each square, it has some kind of like thing, like you're an only child, or you've traveled, you've flown in an airplane, or so you have to like go and ask people which one of these things is them so they can sign that square. Okay. So it encourages, through a little game to start learning other people. And we have you like put your name on like name tags, because so many of us don't even know the names of our neighbors, and we're too embarrassed to say, "What I don't remember your name," because we should. So we're doing little things like that aren't your typical, like what you remember as a child in your neighborhood barbecues, right? Because it was so much more normalized back then.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to re-normalize that, but we have to learn who we are and who each other is in our neighborhood. So those are the kind of like tools that we're...
Yeah, like because there was the phone tree, right? And if you watch older movies too, they reference these things. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, and then now we have all these things about emergency preparedness too. We can do that with these barbecues.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So now you know that Tom, the neighbor three houses down that you'd never met, the senior citizen that's by himself, maybe he's on oxygen and the power goes out. Oh, well, maybe now you can reach out to him to make sure he's okay. If our power's out for like a week that one time.
Right. And so during the inside times, I actually found a janitorial supply company and bought an entire case of toilet paper and delivered it to my neighbors 2 or 3 rolls at a time, especially the elders that couldn't go to the store. And so they would call me and be like, would you mind, you do my shopping? Would you mind doing my friends?
No.
Right. So it's having that connection to survive things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And
you feel good when you do that. It actually, like, when you're volunteering and helping somebody else, I know it sounds cliche, but you're helping yourself even more.
Right.
You're getting those good feelings of purpose. You did something that was helpful. We need purpose in our lives.
Yeah.
To feel successful, to feel happy, to feel like there's a reason for being here, right?
Right. It does. It gives a sense of purpose. I always found too that it made me open my eyes and look around for all the things to be grateful for in my own personal life.
Yeah.
So it.
Yeah. There's this framework out of the Aspen Institute that's called BMWP. That took me a while to remember too. Belonging, meaning, well-being, and purpose. And so a lot of the programs, when we're looking at creating some of these programs, those are kind of the concepts. We're looking at Dr. Perry's neuroscience, how our brains work, how we actually can learn and model. And, there's only really, people only learn for about 20 minutes. So
we go to school all day.
Exactly. Okay. So like if you're going to be doing a big, long workshop, you better be having some breaks, some activities that are actually learning things that are physical, walking and talking, like all these different ways to have things sink in is really helpful when you look at how our brains actually work. But knowing like Dr. Perry's neurosequential model and knowing BMWP, belonging, meaning, well-being, and purpose, those kinds of things. And then there was one, I'm missing one right now. Oh, well. But those are things that we try to make sure that we're integrating in concepts. So like our Hike It Baby facilitators are going through the Dr. Perry's, the book series. So they can start planting little seeds, like when they're having conversations with folks on hikes. But they're also creating that belonging, right, with the people in the group, and then understanding that the well-being and the purpose needs to be in there for us to actually heal and be a healthy community and a resilient community. So we try to make sure that we incorporate all of these different aspects in the work that we're doing. Which, we haven't even talked about. It kind of helped me. It reminded me of our Anchor Point podcast.
Going back to
Yes, where we started. So we, thinking of all of these things.
We just spent 50 minutes to get back to the Anchor Point podcast.
Oh my God, we've been talking for 50 minutes. If you guys are still listening to this conversation, good job. That's way past the 20 minutes that Dr. Perry said.
But we're not, we're having a conversation. So they're just participating as listeners.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Why?
I wish they could join us because their opinions, I think, would be, and experiences. It's always fascinating.
Right. They can absolutely join us. Just email KFUG Community Square. So Community Square at kfuglp.org, and they can join the conversation too.
Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
great.
All right. So Anchor Point.
So Anchor Point is a youth podcast that we started with you guys.
Really?
Yeah. So we have 5 youth that wanted to be podcasters. We put out this like flyer. I think this was when Paul was around. He put out this flyer, seeing what kids might want to be on a podcast. And we kind of pitched it. It was more about mental health, right?
Yeah.
But the kids have gone through What Happened to You, Dr. Perry's book, the neurosequential model. They attend our Brain Talk class, which is a community. Oh, this was the third thing that I was trying to remember. Intergenerational learning. So historically, when we were, learning things, it was grandma age, middle age, and kids. Like we were all together in the room, and we were listening to each other and learning from each other. And that's a really important part that we want to encourage. So that framework is one of the things that we're looking at when starting this podcast. And the kids, so the kids invite an adult to come in, and typically it changes, but right now it's really an adult to kind of learn, be curious, understand what this adult is, facing in their lives, whatever it is that they want to talk about. We have people that talk about purpose, how they found it, how they didn't have it, and then they found it. We have people that talk about dysregulation and how to get back to being regulated. We have people that talk about social media and online and how that really affected their family, and how, it was scary to have this outside thing come into their home and disrupt it. And as a parent, how do you keep your child safe? So we have these really great conversations.
As a child, how does a child manage that?
Right. Yeah.
I had it happen to me as an adult, and I still have cameras up at my house and everything else. And
oh, wow.
It's weird to get up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my gosh, those people on the East Coast send that thread actually show up here.
Oh, yeah.
It's just creepy.
That would be really scary.
But what do you do when you're a child and have to, you don't have that control over your home and what doors get locked and if you're going to have alarms on the window, and, you have a grown up that doesn't know how to cope saying it's fine. You don't have to worry about that. And you don't get to put the things in place so that you genuinely don't have to worry about that.
Well, and a lot of kids don't talk to their parents about it, right?
Right.
And so
you're going to get in trouble.
There's just so many. So basically we have all these different topics.
Okay.
Of people that have different things going on in their lives, right? And they talk to the kids about it, and they just have a conversation about these things. So it's just to learn one another, again, to break down that us and them kind of concepts that have been kind of growing in our community, and start realizing that we're all people and we're all living through these experiences and we're all trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And coming together. So that it's about mental health, because really it's about connection and belonging, and how do you work through all of these different things. But it has humor, because these kids are hilarious.
They really are. They're a great group of kids.
Oh, yeah. It is so fun to listen to. So
they're young adults. I mean, well, not all of them are over 18.
You're right.
Some of them are still in high school, but there are some of them that are.
Yeah, I think it's like.
That are 18 and 19.
Yeah. Yeah. I think 19 is the oldest.
I believe so.
When we started, I think that we had a 15-year-old, but since then she's 16 now. So it's taken us a while to figure out our groove and, how to not.
Right, because this was last year's summer program for KFUG.
We started it then. But yeah, so during the summer when we would be trying this out with the kids, we did a lot of takes and tries and practice. And I don't know that we're going to be airing all of those because there were like 5 of them talking at the same time. So there's been a learning curve on how to do a podcast.
And Amanda over at Coastal Connections, she was there with the kids through the summer.
Was awesome.
And laid that foundation to teach them the audio editing, the setup, how the podcast equipment
and now they can do it on their own.
Right.
They edit it
and
all
they have
on
that
their
connection
own.
to it, an adult in the community to help anchor them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amanda was awesome. And
Amanda
she's like
Doctor. She's a phenomenal human being.
she's like their biggest cheerleader. So, yeah. So anyway, we'll be asking people to come on to the podcast. Right now, they just kind of reached out to people that they thought were pretty cool in the community, or that they knew had
as it should be. It's their podcast.
They knew they had a story to maybe share, and I might be introducing a couple people to them, like, you really want to get to know this person. This person has a pretty cool story to share. So, but it's not always about the cool story either. Like, let's just have some regular folks that don't, So yeah, I'm excited. That's, I think our first, if everything goes well, our first podcast drop public is going to be May 1st.
Nice.
So that's coming up. Yeah. So be on the lookout, and that'll hopefully be available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, KFUG. You guys are going to have it.
YouTube. Yeah, it'll be everywhere.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about that work going forward, and the kids are so excited. So yeah, it'd be awesome if we had support on that. And
absolutely. Maybe, well, as you continue it, we can find sponsors and then get funding that way.
Oh yeah, no, I think these kids are so awesome that we're going to end up. Those podcasts that like have the commercials in them. Yeah.
Those are sponsors.
Yeah.
They pay money.
Yeah, it's going to be self-sustaining because they're so awesome.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to go nationwide. It really is. Although I think the intergenerational learning, and so here's the other thing, was we have Taryn on that podcast too.
Yes, you do.
Helping tie, like, well, that makes total sense that they freaked out. Like, our brains do this, blah, 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 blah. Right? So she ties in just some of the science that makes it make sense, so that we're not all crazy, right? Like, oh, okay, I can give myself some grace again.